Imagine walking away from everything you helped build, leaving home after 12 years, trading memories, trophies, and glories for a new promise, a new project, a new beginning. But what if the moment you cross that door, you realize you left behind something that could never be rebuilt? That what lies ahead might not be enough to justify the farewell. This is the story of Klay Thompson, a Golden State Warriors legend who gambled his legacy on a bold move and now sees the future more uncertain than ever. When Klay left the Warriors, he wasn't just changing cities. He was turning his back on a dynasty he helped build with his own hands. For championships, epic playoff moments, historic nights with 37 points in a single quarter and 60 points with just 11 dribbles, Klay became the symbol of silent lethality. The quiet warrior who always delivered when it mattered most. But time passed, injuries came, and the Warriors system evolved without him. In the summer of 2024, the decision came, a leap of faith. Klay Thompson announced his move to the Dallas Mavericks. The goal? To bring his experience, his deadly shooting, and his championship DNA to a team hungry for glory, led by Luka Doncic. At first glance, it looked like the perfect marriage. But fate had other plans. Before we dive into what went wrong, go ahead and like this video. Only here you find the dark side of NBA trades, with deep analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and a cinematic look at the moments that shaped the league's future. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any chapter of this off-season saga. And if you're still with us, drop a Klay's history in the comments. I'll give you a shout out in the next video. The 2024-25 season began with hope. Klay, Luka, and Kyrie Irving together on the court were supposed to be a real threat in the West. But the reality was different. Irving struggled with injuries. Davis didn't have the expected impact, and chemistry never truly clicked. Klay, even playing 74 games, averaged 14.1 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 2 assists, his second worst season since entering the NBA. For a player known for explosive nights, this performance felt like a distant echo of the past. Behind the scenes in Dallas, the most repeated word was frustration. Sources close to the team reported a locker room shaken by the roster's inconsistency and lack of tactical identity. Klay couldn't find the same offensive flow he had in Golden State. There, he moved off the ball with freedom, caught passes in rhythm, finished quickly. In Dallas, he was often forced to create plays with the ball in his hands, a style that never suited his game. The gears just didn't turn like they used to. The play-in loss to the Memphis Grizzlies was a final blow, a 120-106 defeat, with Dallas barely clinging to the 10th seed, ended a season that once carried high expectations. After the game, Klay was asked if he regretted leaving the Warriors. His response was direct, almost harsh. That's a ridiculous question. I don't believe in looking back. If I had done that my whole life, I wouldn't have come back after the injuries. But even in his firm words, something went unsaid, a wound still open. And that's where the rumors start taking shape. With the Mavericks' future in question, the front office is exploring ways to rebuild the roster around Luka. Among the most discussed alternatives behind closed doors is a trade involving Klay Thompson, not as punishment, but as a course correction. Klay's name has emerged as a possible piece for teams that still believe that, in the right environment, he could be the final piece of a championship puzzle. Several possibilities have surfaced. The Miami Heat are mentioned as an intriguing destination. Strong culture, a coach who values defense, and a hunger for a new title. Another name floating around is the Philadelphia 76ers, where Klay's experience could complement Joel Embiid's talent. And then, there are whispers of a return home. One last dance with the Warriors, where it all began. A cycle closing, or perhaps reopening. Behind the scenes, it's said that the Mavericks don't intend to rush. The plan is to feel out the market, evaluate offers, and decide whether Klay is still part of the solution, or if he'll become a trade piece for a rebuild centered around Luka Doncic. Because Luka is the future. Klay is the past still trying to make sense in the present. If the trade happens, the impact will be massive. For Dallas, it would open cap space and possibly bring in a new defensive or athletic piece. For Klay, it might be the last chance to rewrite the final chapter of his NBA journey with dignity, maybe even with one more title, or at least the recognition that he still has something left to give. But if it doesn't happen, the question comes back even stronger. Was it worth leaving the Warriors? Klay bet on the unknown. He left a system where he was king to try and prove he could still be decisive anywhere. So far, the numbers aren't helping. But the spirit, that's still there. The same one that brought him back from 2 devastating injuries. The same one that made him bet on the impossible. And now the NBA watches, waiting for the next chapter. And you? Do you think the Mavericks should trade Klay Thompson? Or is there still a chance for redemption in Dallas? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your honest take. But while Klay Thompson faces a silent dilemma under the Texas lights, the franchise he left behind is beginning to write a new chapter. And it's not just any chapter. For the first time in over a decade, the Golden State Warriors seem ready to break from everything we've known as the Steph Klay Dre era. And the next move might be the first true step in that breakup. According to recent reports, the Warriors and the Trailblazers are negotiating a trade that could shake the very foundations of the Western Conference. A possible trade of generations, of philosophies, of destinies. The name of Jonathan Kuminga, an explosive young player and the Warriors' 3rd leading scorer last season, has emerged as the centerpiece of a sign-in trade with the Portland Trailblazers. In return, Anfernee Simons, a speedy guard, lethal from the perimeter, coming off a season averaging 19.3 points and 4.8 assists. The proposed deal would also include Moody, another promising young talent from Golden State, known for being one of the team's most reliable perimeter shooters, hitting 39.4% from beyond the arc. This is the kind of trade that doesn't just change names on a roster. It changes the very essence of the team. It shifts the backstage dynamics. And most of all, it stirs the imagination of the fans. The impact is psychological and symbolic. Seeing Kuminga leave after so much hype and expectation feels almost like admitting that the generational transition project failed. Not for lack of talent, but perhaps for lack of opportunity, minutes, or even patience. For the Warriors, this move screams urgency. After an unstable season in which Kuminga, despite being only 22, was benched in key moments, the patience seems to have run out. Greg Swartz of Bleacher Report summed it up perfectly. When your 3rd leading scorer gets a DMP, coach's decision, in the most important games of the season, something is off. And maybe what's off is Kuminga himself in Steve Kerr's system. The relationship between player and coach, while professional, never fully clicked. Kerr demanded off-ball movement, quick reads, and tactical discipline. Kuminga brought explosiveness and strength, but still lacked the collective feel. But the issue goes beyond the court. It's also a silent battle between the present and the future. On one side, Simons offers an immediate solution, a proven player who can produce from day one. On the other, Kuminga is still a project, with a very high ceiling, yes, but who needs time, trust, and minutes. Golden State has bet on development before with Wiseman, Moody, Baldwin Jr., and none have delivered real playoff impact so far. The pressure to win now doesn't allow much room for error. Anfernee Simons would address a chronic issue that's lingered since Jordan Poole's departure. The second unit lost his offensive punch. Simons brings that immediately. He can play alongside Curry, sharing playmaking duties intelligently, or lead the bench unit with aggression and shot creation. His floor spacing ability, 36.3% from 3, fits perfectly around Steph's offensive gravity. And at 25 years old, he fits right in the middle between the veterans of the past and the youth of the future. Plus, his contract is still relatively manageable, giving the Warriors some wiggle room to maneuver other pieces on the roster. But this trade isn't just about Golden State's present. It's also about Portland's future. The Blazers, without cap space to sign Kuminga outright, see this deal as a rare opportunity to fast-track their rebuild. Simons has just 1 year left on his contract before becoming an unrestricted free agent. Losing him for nothing would be a serious blow. With Kuminga and Moody, the scenario changes completely. Both are still on rookie-scale deals and offer years of production at high value. They also align with the developmental timeline of a core that's still in its early stages. Kuminga brings 15.3 points per game and an athletic arsenal that's still evolving. Moody, on the other hand, has the profile of a modern role player, efficient, quiet, reliable. Together, they join Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Denny Avdija, and Donovan Clingan, forming a young, exciting, and financially sustainable core. It's the kind of group that can grow together, fail together, win together, and more than that. Kuminga's play style, focus on transition and physical defense, complements the chaotic energy of Henderson and the creativity of Sharpe. And this trade has the power to shift the paths of both franchises. For the Warriors, it would confirm that the era of the championship babies is over. The idea of developing young talent while competing with veterans didn't work. They need to win now. Steph Curry is still elite, but time is catching up. And maybe Simons is the missing piece to give this core one more breath before the end. Wiggins, Green, Looney, and Payton too remain defensive anchors, but they've lacked someone between Curry and those names who can create his own shot, push the pace, and offer dynamism. Simons might be that guy. For Portland, it's a bet on time. On polishing, not rushing. On accepting that titles don't come overnight, but from patience and developing talents like Kuminga, like Moody, just like they did with Lillard years ago. This trade will allow the franchise to fully embrace this new era, solidifying a group that plays together, fails together, and grows together. The blueprint is clear. Repeat the process that worked with Lillard, McCollum, and Nurkic, but now, with more youth, more versatility, and a new horizon. And at the center of all this is a paradox that defines the modern NBA. Is it better to hold on to the hope of tomorrow or go all in on the now? With Simons, the Warriors embrace the now. With Kuminga and Moody, the Blazers choose the future. And both sides have a point. The challenge lies in how to measure time, how to weigh urgency against patience, risk against reward. Picture the scene. Chase Center. Playoff night. Simons and Curry share in the backcourt while the paint shakes with Draymond and Wiggins. Now imagine the Moda Center, 3 years down the line, with Kuminga throwing down dunks over defenders and Scoot running the tempo. Two futures, two visions, one trade that could ignite the NBA chessboard. This isn't just a strategic move. It's a statement, a vision, a philosophy on how to build a contender. And so the question remains, would you trade you for immediacy? Trade promise for present? This potential deal is a mirror of the modern NBA, where time is the most precious and most volatile asset. Between rising stars and aging veterans, between shifting plans and expiring contracts, one decision can change everything. And maybe that decision is just around the corner. The clock is already ticking. Now I want to hear from you. If you were in the Warriors' shoes, would you make this trade? Kuminga and Moody for Anfernee Simons. Is it worth the risk? Or is it a desperate move to fill the hole left by Klay? Drop a comment below. Hit that like button if this video held your attention. And don't forget to subscribe. In the next episode, we'll explore a rumor involving a star from the Eastern Conference who might be packing for the West. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.